afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first edition of Lunch Break Live. I'm Philip Given, Chief of Staff for the City of York, also a local business owner. Cliff Kern is off camera. You're not going to see him. He's the man behind the scenes, but he keeps all this running with White Rose Community Television. Do me a favor, hit share so all your friends watch this. I am here at Revival Social Club, downtown York, 19 North George Street, and I'm here with Fred Walker. So what Lunch Break Live is going to be is really just an informal conversation where you have the opportunity, I have the opportunity to get to know more about our community leaders. So Fred has graciously agreed to be the first guest on the show.
Absolutely.
But really, this is going to be a dialogue between him and I. I'm going to learn more about what he does. He's an incredible member of our community. I do have my phone up, so if you guys have questions or comments, hit me up here on the White Rose Community Television feed. See if we can fit them in. So, Fred.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is your first time in Revival, right?
Absolutely.
You were here in when it was a previous restaurant.
Yeah, I was downstairs, and it's just a wonderful building. I appreciate you inviting me. I didn't realize a lot of these buildings have this much character in the inside, so it's amazing. It's amazing, our building.
Yeah, Jess and Rob are the owners here,
Okay.
and it's an incredible establishment.
They
launched, it would have been Restaurant Week 2017
Okay.
is when they did their preview, and they've just been killing it since then.
Yeah.
It's great. So we ordered some food that'll come here later.
Absolutely.
So I've known you, or we've kind of been floating around each other for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, how'd you end up here?
So I ended up here. I was in the military. I used to teach at Howard University, political science, taught cadets in the military that was coming in. And I said, it's expensive down in D.C. So I did a query, and I said, it must be a lot cheaper than paying $500,000 or $600,000 for a row home down in D.C.
Yeah.
And I said, I know I can get some land and a lot better house and up north. So what I wound up doing is on a query. It's landed me in York, and I've been here ever since then, since 2004, I believe.
That's awesome. But you're not from DC originally, though. You're from Philly?
I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised in Philadelphia. I went to the military right after high school, and then went all around the world. Went to Germany, went to Fort Lewis, Washington. I went to Fort Bragg. I was in airborne school. I did a lot in the military in that time frame. So
that's awesome.
And then I taught as well.
So had you lived in a community like York before you moved here?
No, York is a different, you have the metropolitan cities, the big cities and stuff like that, but I've never lived in a small community like York, whereas though it's tight-knit, it's like 2 degrees of separation in York.
Between everyone.
Everybody. Yeah. So I never lived in that even in living in North Philadelphia, it was bigger. It was a bigger community than York was. So
we did a ribbon cutting earlier for the Curious Little Playhouse on Market Street, and I had my son with me today. And I mean, that kid's been hanging out downtown since he was an infant.
Right.
But even today, we were meeting people that he doesn't know.
Wow.
And when we were leaving, he was like, "How do you know all of these people?" It's like, it's just York, man. Right. I mean, that's how it is. And
it's unexplainable.
I didn't grow up in an environment like that either, so it's new. Since I've been a part of the York community since 2007, 2008, it is amazing to see how that family just grows and grows.
Absolutely.
And grows.
Absolutely.
So where does a lot of that passion come from for you? Because certainly in the last 2 years or so,
right.
You're everywhere, it seems like.
So I got a couple things I want to attack. A couple ways I want to attack that. I want to answer the question. The passion comes from being a person who was less fortunate, who didn't have a lot of opportunities coming up in Philadelphia. No matter where you go, you're going to see those type of people in different cities and different states. No matter where you go, I've been all around the world, and it's the same.
Right.
So being a resident here, I definitely wanted to help the youth, help them see different opportunities, help them identify their particular, particular things that they can do.
Right.
So the passion came from that initially, just growing up. Also, with the gun violence, a lot of people don't understand where it comes from. With I was hit with that as a kid. My mom was shot and killed in Philadelphia. So in dealing with that and learning how to deal with that and seeing the effects that it takes on the family,
Right.
that's something that, that's why I have the passion about that part. And I'm also passionate about helping kids, get out of their particular situations, helping them see a different route in life. So, that's where a lot of it comes from for me. And also, a lot of people don't understand. I've been here since 2004. It seems like I've emerged, but I've always been in the community, just in a different way. I wasn't really out in front. I've always been behind the scenes, kind of like the mayor may be out in front, but you help him do a lot of stuff.
Sure.
You assist him with a lot of things, and a lot of people don't know you have your hands in a lot of things. I may call you, and you may be the one that's getting it done, for me. So I spent a lot of time behind the scenes, helping from that aspect, and then Tanya Larry, the last few years with the movement and stuff like that, they brought me to the forefront, put me on camera and said, hey, look, no, people need to hear your story. People need to know who you are. Because you're making a lot of things happen. So that's how that
and I would like to get into the movement and the work that group is doing. But can you speak? What similarities growing up in Philadelphia as a young kid in Philly? Mm-hmm. What are the similarities and differences that you see in our community and the youth that is in this community today?
The difference is the mentality. I see that with York and Philadelphia. What happens in Philadelphia is sometimes we'll have a lot of overflow from people that come from these big cities and come to York as a mixing pot. Yeah. And some of those mentalities start to emerge in York City. Yeah. So, whereas though Philadelphia, they come, with this type of mentality. York they didn't really have that. It was just like a melting pot. You have Baltimore, you have kids from DC, and I think it was influenced a lot more. Where York was a town that was more like, probably was more welcoming, was more, family oriented, and they were able to, just come here and influence different things, maybe gangs, all of those different things that come from different big cities kind of flow over into York to me, from what I see. So it's not a lot of separation now. I think back a long time ago, it was some separation, whereas though York was more a small town type of atmosphere, and then it became a city within itself. Yeah. So I don't see a real big difference now, but I think that over time it just kind of adapted to the other cities that came here. So,
So talk to me. It seems like you engage different parts of the community depending on what you're involved with and what organization, but specifically the youth through the street soldiers, and I think that you probably saw a little bit of a different side through the Citizens Police Academy.
Absolutely.
So how did the street soldiers begin? How did you get involved with that?
So my pastor, Pastor Waltower, they had something already kind of brewing. They have been doing it for about 2 years. And I realized that we have to, me being behind the scenes in York, knowing how the York mentality is. Right. When you are an outsider, York feels like you're going to come and go. You're not going to stay here. You're not going to invest here. So they don't take it serious. So I told my pastor, I said, hey, Pastor, we really got to get out in the community, engage, and let them see us. We got to be more visible. We got to knock on doors.
And you and Pastor Walter are both from outside of the community in the traditional sense.
Yes, most of the people that are on our community street soldiers are from out of town. We have Baltimore and San Francisco. Pastor Walthouse from Florida, and I'm from Philadelphia. But I've been in the trenches a lot more, so I kind of understand how to maneuver through York, what they're looking for. Right. So it's a different type of culture that you got to get adjusted to. You can't just come in and say, I want to change this, I want to do this. You got to kind of evaluate. You got to engage. You got to get with some of the people that's in the community, understand the lay of the land, the different families that's here. You got to get educated from the 1950s always up to kind of understand what's going on. Yeah. So I told him, I said, Pastor, we got to be consistent. We got to be out here every week, letting them know that we're here to help. And what we started doing is just kind of understanding what the needs were. Yeah. It was just as simple as, hey, we got a light out right here. It's dark on this block. And just relaying that information to the city, and you have relationships from that.
Right.
You engage in them. So a lot of them were very happy with that, and we continued that on. And what we did was we took it from the wintertime. So some of the people that we met out in the community, some of the kids, some of the people that we talked to, we got some people's jobs. We did things that was going to help them. My pastor says we living in a microwave atmosphere now, where people want things now.
Yeah.
They don't want to wait. The community reflects that. They want the same thing. So if you say you can do something, they expect that to happen quickly.
Right.
And that's what we did. That's how we came up with that. And in the wintertime, we just started mentoring kids. We mentored throughout the whole winter, and some of them will come out and walk with us now. Once we start walking again. So
they went through all of that.
Absolutely.
And learning from in '69, they went through all of that.
Absolutely.
And learning from them. But the people that I look up to are the ones that are able to take that information and then build those relationships, but also see how that can propel us into the future.
Absolutely.
And I think the movement, which you've become a part of here in the last year or so, I think is an excellent example of that. So if you can talk about the work that Tanya and her crew are doing.
Absolutely. So Tanya New, Raymond Bull, they have been engaging. I saw what they were doing. I wanted to help them organize things a lot better, help them be a force to be reckoned with, and
right.
Help and assist with how to move. We were, and now we're trying to structure that a little bit better. What has happened is we were everywhere. People was like, all right, well, what is that? What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And I think it's just a part of just wanting to naturally help.
Yeah.
Help the homeless, help people with Pampers, help people with, with Similac, all of those different needs. We helped some people that were affected in Puerto Rico that came here, that didn't have coats, that didn't have beds, so any person that came to us that needed help, we had some type of resource that we can give to them. Yeah. And it was just kind of just, resourcing things, to other people. You might have had something in your closet, like, hey, Fred, I got jackets if you need them, and I'll come get those jackets and give them to somebody that really needs it. So, but now, we're starting with our 501c3, and we're trying to structure things a lot more with our mission and understanding that we can't do it all,
sure.
Even though we would like to. But you can't do it all because you're going to stretch yourself thin. So we're starting to, make sure that we find and engage in specific things. And then, if we have committees from there, then we can do that. But, now it's really trying, because a lot of people didn't know. I had people all the time, what is the movement?
Right.
Because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was, that was a big part of it, and just, letting people know now. And now they'll be able to see, okay, now I see what their niche market is. This is what they're doing. So
yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see the work that they were doing evolve and really become pinpoint focused, because you're right, they were trying to fill everybody's need. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the better things that I've seen is, I think that there's a risk as you go from doing something and just doing it because you want to do it,
right.
and then structuring it, you can lose a little bit of that passion. But
that is true.
What I've seen with the movement specifically is that as you've tried to apply some structure to it, the relationships with other organizations have started to get stronger.
Yes, they're very strong.
And you've started to utilize them a little bit.
Yes, we've been working with, youth services, YMCA,
Bell, you just said
Bell socialization.
Bell
Yes,
yeah.
we're doing some things with them. We haven't fine-tuned that, but like you said, people seeing that and seeing what your passion is and what you're doing, they figure out how that can fit in to what they're doing. And we're just in. What happened was how the Bell socialization relationship came through is that we started talking to people that was homeless and started helping and making calls. Hey, look, do you got room? Whereas though they may have get turned away or they may have gotten an answer that wasn't beneficial. So, we were just passionate, and we pushed the envelope, and we used relationships, that would help and assist those people that was in need. So that's how those relationships, like you said, they evolve and they expand.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit, because when we have the conversation about relationships, one of the more difficult conversations is the relationship between, or historically difficult, is the relationship between our community and our police department.
Yeah,
and that's not unlike any other community. I mean,
right,
we see the same struggles everywhere. I like to think, since bringing Chief Bankert on as chief, he's passionate about the city. He moved into the city.
He is.
That guy will talk to you all day about our neighborhoods and the people in it. But I know that you guys have a good relationship.
I have a wonderful relationship with Chief Bankert. I talk to him, probably every other week. Have a conversation with him, and I think that's what people have to understand. You don't just call people for when you want something, you need something. You develop a relationship with them. You communicate with them, check on them, how you doing. I went through the Citizens Police Academy, for I think it was like 5 weeks. Is it, Philip?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's like 5 weeks.
Program.
I've dedicated that time. What I really wanted to get out of that is understand the other side, because a lot of times, even in jobs, you have situations where, Ricardo may not know what you do.
Right.
But when he's sitting in your seat and understand, oh wow, I didn't know Philip did this. I know he did this. I didn't know he was up against that. Those are the things that I wanted to understand from, that Citizens Police Academy. And Chief will tell you, I asked 1,000,001 questions that pertain to the community, that pertain to the stigmas, that pertain to, service, pertain to calls. We went to dispatch. We went to all those different things. And I think it's important, Philip, and I'm not even going to hold you. I think it's important to get our community out there to see that from that perspective. Yeah. And we have to try that. And just like, the officers need to understand from our end, what we're seeing and some of the things that we're dealing with. Chief told me a story. I hope I get it right. He told me about where he went into I think it was not a restaurant, a hotel, and he went in there and something had occurred, and he thought that when his police officer had done something, it really, the way that it was, I think somebody had gotten shot. And he thought one of his police officers had gotten shot, but it wasn't. And he went in there like, what's going on and what happened? And he saw some people out there, and he felt that it was going to be a riot. But they was just him speaking to them, saying, "Hey, is everything? How you doing?" It lightened up the whole moment. So stuff like that, can lighten up a moment. Just you speak and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" And he said, "Fred, that really helped me understand and communicate and engage with the community differently." So I feel that that's important. I feel like bringing both worlds together and respecting, both entities. I think it's a big deal, and I'll try hard. Chief came out this weekend. Him and the mayor came out and did the free throws. Mm-hmm. Chief, I gotta let Chief know I gotta get him another trophy, because I think the mayor.
I see it got snapped. I saw that. Yeah, the trophy got snapped a little bit. That's all right.
So I'm gonna go back to T&J's and see if I get Chief a new trophy to put on his desk. But they came out, they engaged with the community, and we need more events like that. He needs to be visible. He needs to be able to see people, and talk to people. You know what I mean? And we have to change that stigma and that division. Yeah. You know what I mean? Moving forward, I know there's a lot of tension. I understand that, but in order to get to where we need to be at, we got to move the needle a different way. Yeah. So, I'm really an advocate of that. And if I have to be the conduit to do that, then I will. And Chief will tell you. I'll tell him, Chief, your guys was wrong for that. He'll take it. He'll say, "Fred, we'll figure it out. We'll get back to it." And that's the kind of conversation you have to have. You got to be brutally honest. Yeah. And he'll tell me the same thing. It's just a respect thing. So, we don't want nobody that's a sheep or that's not going to let us know when we're in the wrong.
No, and even internally, we deal with some of that, and I think that everybody has a different way of approaching problems and solving problems. Right. But I think that through uncomfortable conversations where you have two people that it's not even about disagreeing; it's just that you're approaching it from two different ways.
Absolutely.
But I think what makes York great, what makes America great, is that we are here to have those conversations, and if we collectively, if we approach it from a place of empathy, and that, we're having conversations to move, like you said, to move the needle, right, that through those uncomfortable conversations comes progress.
Absolutely.
Because when you really distill it down, you come to understand one another, you understand your point of view, how you're approaching it. And I never heard that story with Chief in the hospital, but that, not only does that make sense, but that sounds like him totally.
It does.
That just something like that changed the way
whole
that
atmosphere. Changed the whole atmosphere.
So how do we do more of that though? Like, I think the basketball games and events like that, but is there something we can do on a more intimate level, on a smaller level?
To get more engagement, yeah. I think that changing the mentality. I think Chief, we're at West York. I can't think of but we need more engagement. Where me and Pastor Walter, we go out and we talk to some of the people. We talk about diversity. We talk about those things. We talk about those issues. I think those conversations need to be had. To understand that we have to have people. Some of the problems out in West York is that they need Latino speaking people.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the disconnect.
Yeah.
Part of not understanding, who you're speaking to and what's going on. And that could cause a problem within itself.
You can't communicate if you physically cannot communicate.
Absolutely.
With each other.
And they knew it. And that was one of the things that we pointed out in West York, that, hey, look, we need to get somebody that speaks Spanish. So I think a small part of it is that I think what Chief and them did with all the pastors, man, that was huge. I hope I hope people understand that was an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people,
right,
for all of those pastors. So I think Chief is headed in the right direction. I think the mayor is leading him in the right direction and say, hey, listen, no, you need to go back out there and figure this out. Right. So I think that's the start of it. I think that having more community engagement, have the coffee and donuts with the police. Yep. We used to have officer friendly and stuff like that.
Yep.
That made a difference. So
you got the crab cake, right?
I did. Yeah.
Po' boy's mine.
Got it.
Beautiful. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. So,
yeah, I think we're good.
Yes, ma'am. So, I think we're headed down the right direction. And having these partnerships, these conversations, and just being creative.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is not doing the same things that we used to do before. Let's get creative. Let's meet in the park. We're doing a lot of stuff. The city is involved. I want to salute the mayor for a lot of the stuff that he's doing, getting involved. I think he gets it.
Yeah.
I think that he understands it, and he gets it from the other side, of the coin. So he's advocating while he's in office to say, hey, listen, these are the things that the community is having an issue with.
Yeah.
You guys got to be sensitive and have empathy for that. You know what I mean? So I think we're heading in the right direction, and I think more community stuff. I think Chief is going to have officers walking around now.
Yep.
Back to the basics, Phil.
Yeah.
Back to the basics of things that we used to do. Get out of the squad cars, meet. We also engage the officers when we do our walks. Chief walked with us. He got to answer questions. And we have some of his other officers walk with us on the West End.
Right.
They need to know who is patrolling their areas.
Yep.
They need to be able to talk to them and say, hey, look, such and such. And Chief Bankert and Lieutenant Nestor, they're getting it even a little bit further, where they're saying, hey, listen, call me Roger. Call me, call me this. I feel more comfortable with that. Let's open that dialogue up a little bit better. Let's break down those barriers.
Yeah.
So I think we're headed in the right direction with that.
And I think, I'm sure growing up in Philadelphia, you had some experience like this. And I think what the police department is working on in a variety of ways is really just, the only time that we see our police officers shouldn't be when they're responding to a call,
right,
or when they're and Chief gets that, and I think as a department they get that, and,
right,
and you'll see, you'll see more engagement, whether that's engagement downtown during events or at special events or a pickup basketball game or something like that. We've seen the viral videos of Officer Maine dancing in the street. So I think it's opportunities like that where not only are the police becoming humanized because they're just guys in a uniform.
They're guys. What I learned, they're guys that like to tell jokes.
Yeah.
They like to fish. They like to have fun. They do the same things. We have more in common than we have differences.
Yeah.
If you really break it down, they have wives. They have dogs. They live the same thing.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, obviously you and I are passionate about the city, but one thing I struggle with on a larger scale is, York City is a community of 44,000 people, and we're surrounded by York County, which in total is, I think, pushing 450,000, something like that. I might be wrong. We see a lot of interaction, probably more interaction now than there ever has been, with people coming down for events and patronizing our businesses, patronizing businesses that aren't just downtown, but hitting up Mi Caldero, hitting up, even if like Roosevelt Tavern has been more re-engaged with their patio that's open.
Yeah.
So you're seeing more conversation and interaction between the suburban residents and the city residents.
Right.
But I think that can always grow, and obviously we struggle with the stigma of crime, which you and I know that pretty isolated incidents,
right,
as far as the grand scheme of things
right,
in the city. But what do you think? I mean, is there a way that we can engage the county more, or do we not even need to worry about that because it
No.
naturally happens as we build things?
And I think it brings business to York. I think it brings, awareness. I think it brings relationships. I think as we're continuing to make the city safe, we're doing First Fridays. That's bringing a lot of traffic. I think that making them feel, not making them feel comfortable, and hopefully changing the stigma of Princess Street, changing the stigma of these different places where they're scared to go. Some people in York that work in York are afraid to go outside and walk to their car sometimes.
Yeah.
So as we continue to make the city safe, we push the crime rate down. We continue to build. We continue to have places for the kids to go. The big advocate of that. These centers, they have. We're starting to do a lot of programs in there.
Yep.
April Collier has a lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
There's, LaQuinn Thompson has a program. The gaming system stuff that he has going on. As we start fine tuning and getting these things together, hopefully that will push that down. We're trying to bring a technical school for the kids and stuff like that. So as we get them involved in different things, help them become entrepreneurs, help them see a different way than what's, and not have that peer pressure of, going out there and just having idle time or, picking on somebody. We're attacking the bullying thing as well, help them bring awareness to that. So I think as we continue to do that, things will go down.
Yeah.
The outskirts of York will start feeling more comfortable.
Yeah.
They'll start being comfortable and engaging with people and learning what's going on instead of being scared.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that the chief. I remember. I don't know if he was at the meeting when some of the pastors was giving their story. I forgot the pastor's name, but she was talking about how she feels more comfortable in the city than out in the county.
Yeah.
And then one of the other pastors said, well, I feel more comfortable in the county than in the city. And they really started bringing a dialogue of why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I think that's definitely we're headed in the right direction in doing it if we continue to, ensure that we change those dynamics and change those stigmas in our community.
Yeah, that conversation is always interesting to me. I mean, I grew up in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which at the time was just kind of a rural suburb of Charlotte, but now Charlotte has engulfed Rock Hill, and it's pretty much one major metropolitan area. But I graduated high school at Northeastern, so up Manchester, Mount Wolf.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
And it's interesting having conversations with Cliff and I actually went to the same high school, but having conversations with people that I went to high school with, and some of them, I mean, most of them get it at this point. Most of them get it, and you'll see them at White Rose, you'll see them downtown, but you'll see them engaging in other parts of the city too.
Right.
But there are still, there are people that just don't really understand what we're doing or why we do it. And the funny part of that whole conversation to me is that I actually have a better relationship with my neighbors on Pershing than I think I ever did with my neighbors out in the suburbs. Because you step out your front door and they're there. And we have those conversations, and I know all of their names.
It was distance. The house,
right? They're so far apart.
Yep.
So it's funny. My parents still live up there, but my mom and dad are both engaged in my business at the pretzel shop. So my mom is in the city pretty much every single day.
Right.
And before we opened that business, and she wasn't really engaged in the city, she was here a few times a month. But I think that she would tell you that people's perceptions of the city, and this happens anywhere. You'll have the same conversation happens in Harrisburg, Lancaster, Philadelphia, with any city. But people's perceptions and the reality, just those experiences don't match.
They don't.
Obviously, my kids go to school here in the city. I walk to work every single day. I've been involved in living here since 2009. It's a comical conversation in some ways because I think in America, we treat cities sometimes, especially third-class cities, as the boogeyman.
Right.
And that's where there's nefarious activity, and that's not the experience.
I would challenge a lot of people. I live out in Mount Wolf. I would challenge a lot of, and I talk to my neighbors. I tell them, it's funny because I let them know. I say, I want you to know who you living next to. See what I'm doing out in the community. And a lot of times, I think they don't understand, like, why are you doing that?
Right.
I'm passionate about this, and I would challenge them to not look at the news and just gauge things off of the news because you see something going on. Come down to White Rose. Come down and see York for what it is. See York for its.
I'm good. Yeah, you good?
Yep, I'm good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, see York for what its historical aspect. See the people. The people that live in York love York.
Yeah.
They love it. So I would challenge those people that's out in the suburbs to come and do that and engage and find out what's going on. We got questions?
I don't know. I'm trying to see.
Let's get them.
So Nicole Smith, who works
Hi,
for the
Nicole.
city.
That's my classmate. Hi, Nicole.
Yeah, well, that's what she's saying. She said, "So glad we took the Citizens Police Academy. Anyone who has a chance should make the time to get a better understanding of the police department." And that's what the whole program is about.
Yes.
So what are the main takeaways from that? I mean, I think that you obviously just seeing inside and seeing how some of that works and the realities that they face every day, which has been really interesting for me. I started with the city January of 2018.
Right.
So I got a crash course in the whole thing.
Right.
But there's other takeaways from that academy too.
Takeaways for me was how some of the detectives are, or how they deal with things. I think that we think that these police officers are robots. They really have emotions. They have feelings. There are things that they can't deal with that are tough. Yep. They're passionate. I also learned that when they're bringing stuff to the DA and all that, it's not no automatic thing. This stuff get kicked back. It's not like it's automatic. Like, yeah, I brung you this. No, that the district attorney is saying, listen, you don't got enough. Kick that back. I didn't understand that process of it. The K9 unit, I didn't realize. I know from early on and during the '60s and stuff, what happened with the dogs and stuff like that. But how the dogs were donated, how they're making them a lot more friendly because of that stigma. Yep. How they're not even utilized in that aspect at all anymore. Yeah. So
the sheriff's department pretty much uses those as a community building.
Absolutely. And I think they're going to do some more. We have some people running for sheriff and stuff like that this year. So reached out and said, listen, I want to do more engagement with the K9s at the schools. Making them look friendly. So I learned more about the dogs. I didn't know that they were donated. Yeah. Just those aspects. The other takeaways were the dispatch, how that whole thing operates, the stress of it, some of the equipment that's available to the city of York, and overall, I had a good time. And it was good because I was up close and personal with asking them questions. Right. And they were just very helpful in asking. I mean, ask Nicole. Nicole will tell you I asked a lot of questions during that time frame. And it just brought me closer to their life and what they do.
Yeah. So I know, in addition to all of the we'll call it volunteer work, but I mean, if you're like me, I don't consider it even really volunteer. It's just who we are.
It is.
It's what
it is in you. It's in you.
But you do have some business interests, and you're working on some cool things. But like me, I mean, it's a real blurry line there between community development efforts and economic development business efforts. Right. So I know you're working on something out east. So tell us about that.
Absolutely. So if everybody don't know, I brought the stockade. I've been renovating and doing some things with that. We have a new business that's going into it. Like I said, I'll talk to you about doing the ribbon cutting and stuff like that. It's called Touch of Soul. Alexis Glover is the one that's going to be opening up. That probably around May timeframe, around May 17th. So I just want to make sure that she's in the right direction. I want to make sure that her business thrives, and ensure that I can assist her with whatever she needs help with. Whether it's just advice. I do a lot of mentoring. A lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, look, Fred, what do you think about this?" Yeah. I'm a business person within the community as well, as far as my volunteer stuff. But I teach them different aspects: how to market, how to structure your business. How to go after funding and money and stuff like that. So that's a lot of times I spend, and there's so many other aspects of what I do behind the scenes for those people. And that's why I have those types of relationships. I want to see people succeed, Phil. It's not, I'm passionate about that. If you came to me for help, I definitely took the time out to help you, give you advice, teach you all the things that I know about economics, about marketing, about whatever it is that you're trying to do. Even if I don't know the answer, I'll try to figure it out to assist you. So, shout out to Alexis Glover, who's opening her Touch of Soul.
So she was on Duke Street for a bit with Taste Test. She went through the Taste Test.
Yeah.
Those wings that she makes are the best. Probably the among the best wings I've ever had.
Absolutely.
So good.
Yeah. And she helped with the. She's definitely a good cook. She has a staff. They look great. They came out and did some food. I'm sorry you couldn't make it, Phil. The mayor was there
For the basketball game.
Yeah. They volunteered and cooked the food for everybody, for the whole community. I was happy for that. Mikad Rose as well as another good friend of mine. Came out and cooked some things for us, and it's all about community. People don't understand. You can get further with just relationships, with communication. You know what I mean? All that. I don't talk to this person. I don't do that. I talk to everybody. If
Yeah.
you allow me.
And I think those not enough people have difficult conversations, which is something we talk about often, and that is the path forward that we have to take, because until we get on the ground level and have those conversations,
Absolutely.
we're not going to go anywhere. And we don't serve anything by just talking to the same people every single day.
At all. We're going to have differences. I might not think the same way you think, but I think that for me and you, Phil, if we disagree with something, we can come together and be like, all right, Fred, I don't agree, but this is what I believe. You know what I mean? And I can say the same thing, and we can come back together and do something different. You know what I mean? So you have to be a bigger man or woman to be able to do that, and kind of iron out your differences and say, all right, well, I don't agree, but that doesn't mean I don't like that person no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just didn't see. I look at it like I wasn't able to convey or convince enough to say, this is what I'm thinking to you. Sometimes it's a communication. You may not know how to get that message across.
Right.
So you got to just come at it at a different angle, or come the next day. Hey, Phil, let me get back with you and talk to you about what I was trying to say. This is what I was trying to talk about, and this is what the vision that I was trying to convey. Yeah. And you might see it a different way.
All right, man. We're going to wrap it up here, but I think the way that I want to end this, and I just thought of this while we were talking, so I think you should tell me who the next guest for Lunch Break Live should be. So who should I reach out to? Who should join me on our next episode?
There's a lot of people
I know.
out there. It depends on what type of community-wise. Who I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think that we should vary the people we're talking to. I want to talk to business owners. I want to talk to nonprofit leaders, people that have been in it forever. I want to talk to people that are just getting started in the grassroots level. But
absolutely. You put me on the spot. Why you let them do that, Cliff?
We're going to put them on the spot, too, because I'm going to be like, hey, Fred called you out. You have to be the next guest.
Community leaders.
You know who I was thinking you made me think of was Oziel.
Oziel would be a good one.
Yeah.
Bring Oziel. Bring Oziel. Oziel is a good one. Ozil's very laid back.
Yeah.
He's a worker.
Yeah.
He's a methodical thinker. So bring Oziel.
I think I think I might be wrong. Unlike you, he's from York. I think, right? He's been here. Yeah. So he has a different perspective than either of us.
He does. He brings a whole different perspective. So I would say I'm gonna run a list down.
Yep.
I'm gonna say Oziel. I'm gonna say April Collier.
Yep.
I say Dominique Chapman would be interesting. I would say Ben
Jackson.
Ben Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah. Who else? There's a few of them. I'm trying to think of who else. Tanya Larry would be definitely got to have her on the show. Who else? I'm slipping. I don't know if you're gonna bring any city, but Diaz.
Yeah, well, I mean Nicole and Diaz, Richard Craighead. I mean, all those guys have great stories.
Craig Wolf, maybe another one. So I'm putting all y'all on the spot. I definitely dropped your name. I'm trying to think anybody else. Who else I'm missing? Phil, Cliff. Who I'm missing? It's a lot.
There's so many. I fed Cliff, so he's happy. We'll keep doing this. Anything else you want to tell people?
Unify York. Have great relationships. One thing I want to stress is that you may have a person that you may have turned away from, and they may do something amazing, and that's back to like a person like Terrence Green. Terrence Green is he's very grateful for me helping him when he was a kid. Mm-hmm. And people don't understand that I didn't turn away from him. I would open my doors and assist him. You never know where somebody's going to end up at, and what position they'll be in, 5-10 years from here. So, always be mindful of that. Unify, create as much friends and relationships as you can. Yeah. And, walk away from negativity. If you continue to hear negativity from something, continue to just, walk away from that, because that's not doing nothing but trashing your brain and making you not have a good day in life. So unify York. That's what I want to see. A unified York.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. Cliff,
Thank
what
you.
camera am I on here? This guy? Yeah, so again, thank you guys for watching. I know a lot of you tuned in for the whole thing, which is impressive.
Good. That's a great.
Fred and I are going to finish our food here.
Absolutely.
We're at Revival Social Club, 19 North George Street. They've been open for 2 years, and the entire new menu comes out on Monday.
Oh, man.
So come say hi to Jess and Rob. Food's
Hi,
great.
Jess.
And they're great hosts. They're open every day but Sunday, though sometimes they do a Sunday brunch, which is killer. So that's all for now. We'll see you sometime in the future. If you like this show, let us know. Send me a message. Send Cliff a message. If you have an idea of somebody that we should interview, hit us up, or a restaurant that we should go to. We're gonna make the rounds. So thanks again. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys have a good holiday weekend.